Hello everyone and welcome back to another Movie Nights movie review. Today we are talking about My Old Ass. This film is written and directed by Megan Park and stars Maisy, Stella, and Aubrey Plaza. Megan Park, by the way, she's an actress, but she's also a filmmaker, obviously, and she directed a film a few years ago that was picked up by HBO from the festival circuit called The Fallout with Jenna Ortega, which you haven't seen, by the way, is a really, really good film, and I highly recommend checking it out. I didn't know she directed this till after I watched it, and I was like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. They're made in similar styles. But jumping into this movie, when I heard the concept of it, I was kind of skeptical. I was like, so someone mushroom trips and they see a future version of themselves to try to give like a life pep talk to. I'm like, this kind of just seems dumb, to be honest. But I heard it was doing really well in the festival circuit. I heard good things about it from other online critics. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go check this movie out. Like, let's kind of see what it's all about. I just got out of it right now. And I got to say, I fucking love this movie. I was really surprised by how much I love the movie, and I was generally excited for it from the positive buzz, but this will it's definitely going to end up in my top 10 of the year. I'd be shocked if it didn't. It may even end up in the top 5, but we still got like 3 months left, so who knows, but it is a phenomenal little movie. You have to have suspension of disbelief of the actual plot and the actual way that it works. And both, which by the way are available in the trailer, and that for whatever reason, when she trips on these mushrooms, her older self shows up, played by Aubrey Plaza, and they can communicate with each other on the phone through time. The movie just kind of says, this is what's going on, and you either go with it or you don't. And if you go with it, this film takes you on such a beautiful journey with an incredible story of the young girl played by Maisy Stella. It's a coming-of-age film, it's a self-discovery film, it's funny, it's dramatic, and there's also a reveal towards the end of the film that recontextualizes how you see the beginning of the film. And the first thing that came to my head comparison-wise was The Haunting of Bly Manor, which is a TV series, but there's a reveal at the end of that. When you go back and watch the show, you realize, oh, this was kind of a love story the whole time, and I didn't realize it. That's not the same revelation in this film, but when you kind of go back and think about the movie, you're like, oh, that added a whole new layer with our lead character that I wasn't aware of. And while the reveal isn't necessarily an oh my goodness shocking twist, because as the movie was playing out, I'm like, all right, either one of two things is going on here. It's A or B, and it was one of those options. But the way it was revealed, the way it was played out, the emotional climax of this movie building up to this moment, so worked, and the journey it took you on emotionally was so well crafted, so well paced. This movie's an hour and 29 minutes. There's no fat on it. You enjoy every second that you get to watch, and it truly is an absolute delight. I only have very few criticisms of the movie, and one is like a nitpick, but it's just something that I noticed frequently, and that's there are a couple times in the movie where it will cut from a medium wide to a close-up or a wide to a close-up, and the continuity of what's going on with the actor's face or expression is off. And that's such a nitpick. I know how that sounds, but it happened more than once in the movie to where I started to notice it, and I was just like, oh, okay. Like, it just kind of briefly took me out for a second, but like at the end of the day, if that's one of the only problems your movie has, your movie's doing really good. The movie also has a really funny trip sequence that I'm not going to give away, that the sequence itself really, really works and is really funny. I just wish that it was a little bit set up more beforehand, but in the moment it still worked. But I was just kind of like, oh, we're doing this. And then as it played out, it kind of grew on me. But I do wish it was set up briefly a little bit more in the film. And I do think that whenever Aubrey Plaza is on screen, she's just so magnetic, and she's only on screen a couple times. It's mostly you hear her voice. And I do just wish from a selfish perspective that we got to see a little bit more of Aubrey Plaza. Oh, and this isn't necessarily a negative for me, but I could see it being a negative for some people. I actually thought it was really interesting in the movie, and that was usually when you're doing something like a time travel or like a future communication, like a frequency type thing, you kind of have to, a lot of filmmakers will tell you, like, establish the rules of what's going on, like, make sure it's consistent, blah, blah, blah. But what this movie does is both characters are naive as to how it works. So they kind of try a couple different things, be like, see if this works. And sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And I thought that was a really interesting way, screenplay-wise, to play with that idea and that structure. So for me, it worked greatly, but I could see some people just being like, just fucking establish how it works and do it, and who might be a little bit rubbed the wrong way by that. Oh, and going back to positives for a second, there's an absolutely beautiful moment in this movie with the lead character and her mother, and it was reminiscent of a scene in The Fallout of the lead character and her father. And that's my favorite scene from The Fallout, and this was one of my favorite scenes from this film. Needless to say, Megan Park is easily becoming one of my most anticipated filmmakers working today, and I cannot wait to see what she does next. I thought this was a phenomenal film, again, and I highly recommend that everybody check it out. If you've seen My Old Ass, what did you think about it? I'd love to see your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I deeply apologize for how my hair looks. I'm just noticing it now, and I'll see you on the next one.